Hello and welcome to this video. Today we want to talk about classes and objects. So let's start with what is a class. To give you an easy example, a class is like a cooking recipe for a meal. You need to have the cooking recipe so that you know how to cook the meal. And a class is like a template that defines how you construct an object. Also, it's important to notice that every type that you define as a class is a so-called reference type. But what is a reference type? To explain this, I first want to explain another type, and that's the value type. So what is a value type? A value type holds a data value within its own memory space. That means that these data types directly contain values. A reference type, however, doesn't store its own value directly. It contains a pointer to another memory location that holds the data. When a reference type is not initialized, its value is null. Null with N-U-L-L. Null means not referring to any object. Okay, for now I want to ignore the public keyword and the colon mono behavior. We will talk about this in another video. But for now I want to focus on how to define a class. As you can see, you can define a class by using the class keyword followed by the class name. As always, for your class name you can choose any name that you want. But in C# for Unity, you need to remember that the class name should be the name that you gave to your file. You can also define 2 or more classes in one file. In that case, only one of those classes needs to have the same name as the file. As you can see, after your class definition, you need to continue with a code block. A code block starts as always with the curly opening bracket and ends with the curly closing bracket. Everything between those two brackets is part of your class now. So as you can see, everything that we write here is part of the class YouTube that we defined earlier. In object-oriented programming, we can define methods in classes, but we can't define methods outside of classes, so we can't define a method here. The next thing that you can do is declaring variables in your class. If you declare a variable that is in a class, but it's not part of a method, this variable is called attribute. Okay, let's delete our attribute for now, and I want to show you an example on how to create multiple classes in one file. Okay, let's create a class called dog. We need to start with the public keyword to define this class, but let's ignore it for now. I will explain later what this means. So let's define our class dog and give it an attribute of type int, which is called age, and one attribute of type string, which is called name. Also, I want to give this class a method, which is called bark with the return type string, and it shall return the string woof woof. Okay, now that we created our class called dog, it's time to create an object of it. To create an object, start with the class name, followed by the name for the object that you can choose. Then do an equals, write new, and then the class name again. And then you need to do an opening round bracket and then closing round bracket. Okay, nice. Now we have successfully created our first object called Berno of the type dog. We can create as many objects of one class as we want. But if we create multiple objects from one class, for example, if we create 3 objects of the class dog, all of them will have different values for the attributes age and name. That's because the attribute values are stored per object and not per class. If we look at what we did, we can see that dog Berno is the declaration, and new dog, round bracket open, round bracket close, is the initialization. If you don't do this initialization part, the object will be null. If you want to access an object's attribute, you need to do it with order. So we will write object name dot attribute name to access it. And then we can, for example, do an equals and write 15 to assign the value 15 to this attribute. Now if we want to call an object's method, it works the same. Just write a dot, the method name, followed by round opening bracket, round closing bracket, and after this, the method shall be called. In this case, if we want to log the return value of Berno's bark method to the console, it won't work because there is no public keyword in front of the definition of the bark method. Okay, let's add the public keyword to the definition of our bark method, and I will explain in one of the later videos what this means, but for now we just need this, otherwise our example won't work. Let's save our script, start, and let's try it out. As you can see, if we check the console, woof woof was printed to the console, so everything works as expected. We can also log Berno's age attribute now to check if the value 15 was assigned successfully to the age attribute. Okay, and if we save our script now and check the console, we can see that 15 was printed to the console. That's it for this video. I hope you like it, and I hope you learned something new about classes, the definition of classes, attributes, and methods, and I hope you understood everything. That's it for this video. Thanks, and see you next time. Welcome to the end of this video. Hit the subscribe button to stay updated. Also, if you need some high quality assets for your game or like our channel and want to support us, feel free to check out our assets at the Unity or Unreal Asset Store. You'll find the link to our store pages in the description. I hope you learned something new and see you next time.